The leaders of Spain's two main political parties, on opposite sides of the spectrum, both claimed victory on Sunday as a parliamentary election came to a nail-biting finish. But despite the revelry on the streets, Spain was in fact headed for a hung parliament. No party nor likely political coalition had won enough seats for a majority. With 99% of votes counted just before midnight, the Conservative People's Party had 136 seats, while Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez's ruling socialists had 122 seats. And the kingmaker parties that would have bolstered them were nearly even, with far-right Vox and far-left Sumar both clinching just above 30 seats. Previous polls had predicted a working majority for the right-wing bloc, but the election results instead paved the way for drawn-out and potentially fruitless talks to form a government. Vox leader Santiago Abascal called it a day of concern, saying his party had not achieved its objective to kick out Sánchez as prime minister. While Sumar's leader Yolanda Díaz said many Spaniards who worry about the far right taking over will be able to, quote, sleep calmly. With the highest vote count, People's Party leader Alberto Núñez Feijóo will have the right to go first in trying to persuade smaller parties to back a coalition with Vox. But many appear reluctant to support the ascent of a far-right party into power after the 4-decade dictatorship under Francisco Franco that ended in the 70s. Prime Minister Sánchez has more options for negotiations, but he would also likely struggle to cobble together a majority, with potential allies pushing for concessions in return for their support.
We're in Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States of America, where Prime Minister Modi will arrive for his first state visit. And we're seeing the preparations, we're seeing the buzz around us, and with me are two women who've tracked the India-US relationship as it has evolved over the years. This is Washington's Chinatown. A massive friendship arch draws you in. The White House isn't the only landmark built by slaves. Nearby is the Washington Monument. It's a hallmark of DC's skyline. It's an imposing presence. It's supposed to showcase strength. It was built to honor America's first president, George Washington. This monument, too, was built by slaves. The Washington Memorial, where the Indian-American community has gathered to conduct a unity march to welcome Prime Minister Modi. Such marches are being held in at least 20 cities across the United States.
Bharat Mata ki Jai! Modi hai to, Modi hai
to. Behind me is the U.S. Capitol building. It is part of what is called the front yard of America, the National Mall, home to the most iconic buildings in the country, also the seat of the U.S. Congress. The U.S. Revolution had just ended, and the Americans wanted to create a new identity for themselves, something that breaks away from their past of the British colonial rule. George Washington was the president, and he had a plan. He picked the land himself. He passed something called the Resident Act that helped create the U.S. Capitol and the President's House, which is the seat of the U.S. government. Are you selling drones to India? Which ones and how many?
Latest platform is the MQ-9B, the most versatile, high-altitude, long-endurance unmanned aircraft in the world.
Look at this. This is an ad for a gun, Glock firearms. And nowhere else have I seen something like this, ads for firearms and weapons so openly and frequently displayed in civilian spaces. This is America for you. It's a country which has more guns than people.